This is an audio-only recording of an exercise session for Vision of Adventure. A cycling session led by Kath Finn. Please note that you will need some form of stationary bike with controllable resistance to participate in this session. Recorded in winter 2025.
Okie doke. Evening, everybody. I don't know what it's like here with you, but it's pretty cold and raw up here. So welcome to a night that will make you warm, which is a good thing for you guys because our oil's run out, so we're not that warm. I know. I did look at it and we clearly use it faster than I think because I have a note to reorder it next week, but it's a little bit late. So I phoned the nice people this morning and they said, yes, we're really busy. We'll get to you early next week. I was like, okay. So we're burning firewood and we'll have to go to the leisure centre for showers, but life could be worse. So it's quite funny. It's the first time in 30 years we've actually managed to almost run out. It looks like there's a little bit, but we think that the pressure is too slack to draw it through into the Aga. So the Aga, which is the heart of our house, has gone cold. And then obviously it won't light on its own with us because it's temperamental. It needs the posh man to come and talk to it nicely. So there's another bill. But it's our own stupid fault, like getting speeding tickets. They're my own stupid fault. I will just say I haven't had one of those for a while. But Paddy's just done his naughty driver's course. But he also hasn't had one for a while. We have been quite good on that score. But I led a run session where we all got parking tickets because none of us had noticed it was a 3-hour limit. I've never had a parking ticket there before. I mean, come on, God, what are you doing? So on that cheerful note, just to keep you entertained while you're warming up, we're doing our usual 5 minutes or so of turning our legs over, which is nearly over. And then we're going to do 3 lots of 2 minutes, getting steadily a little bit harder, just to get the body going, warm everything up, and also mean that the body is fired and ready to go for the next bit. So this is a pretty normal routine. A really good thing to do to warm up whatever you're doing, whether you're swimming or cycling or running. As some of you know, we've done some really good swim band exercises when people have been coming to swim with Vision of Adventure. That's a great warm up. Just warms up all the little muscles around your shoulders so they're less likely to get damaged. And for running, I'm doing quite a lot of just a steady walk for a minute, then a jog for a minute, then a walk for a minute, then a jog for a minute. And that really helps, especially when the temperatures are quite cold, because the colder your muscles are, the less likely they are to want to respond well and be nice and loose and fluid and malleable and do what you tell them. The more likely they are to be tense. And then again, that risk of injury goes up. So that's why we always spend quite a bit of time gradually warming the body up, and we don't go straight into horrendous sprint intervals to give you a chance. Equally, it gives your heart a chance to get warmed up rather than giving it a massive shock. Massive shocks on hearts aren't good. We want to be nice to them. So we're now going to go for the 2 minutes at maybe slightly harder than you've just been going, but not too hard. So I'm starting the clock. We'll go for 2 minutes, and hopefully you've been pedaling at about effort level 4 out of 10, really nice and easy. This 2 minutes, we only really want to nudge it a tiny little bit, so maybe 5. So it's still fairly easy. There's just a bit of talking to watches going on, so I'm going to let that happen. Well, no, if it's not on Strava, it ain't happened. I think Strava and Swift are the two things that probably lead to the biggest amount of burnout and overtraining of any cycling tool that's around. Now, Strava, with all its things about most attempts and Queen of the Mountain and Queen of this section, yeah, it's just encouraging people to work way too hard. And so I'll just say it again. I know I've said it before, but in terms of the balance of your training, I know when you're really time pushed and every session is really important and precious, that you want to feel like you've really worked hard and got a real fitness benefit. But that zone 2, able to chat level of effort is super important for backing up the rest of the stuff. That's where the long-term athlete comes from. And you've got to have a good base of that, and then you stick the harder stuff on the top. If you don't have that base underneath, then you haven't got what you need for long-term sustainability. So I just leave that with you. Right, we're now going to nudge up. And hopefully we're on about 5 out of 10. We now maybe want to be coming into 6, 7 out of 10. We're doing another 2 minutes at this, and then we're going up again for 2 minutes. That's looking good, looking like we're all settling in. I'll also say hello to Emily this evening, who's just slid in there quietly. I'll do another minute at this level. Looking nice. We've got some lovely postures going on, really good positions. Okay, in half a minute, we're just going to nudge up again. And at least we're not down south. Devon's really getting a bit of a pasting, and they usually have quite nice weather. And this kind of weather makes me think about what a great idea to go mountain biking. And now we just want to up the level again. So this time we should probably be around effort 7. So it should be quite difficult to talk. It should feel a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah, mountain biking doesn't ever feel quite normal in the sun in the summer. It's something I really think of as a winter sport for some reason. And if you're going to go out and be wet, cold, and miserable, you might as well go out and be wet, cold, and muddy and have lots of fun. So I just got to sell that one to Paddy for the weekend. Not sure it's going to work. Okay, we're going to do another half a minute here, and then we're going to have a minute just twiddling. And then we'll finish off the warm-up. And some of you will go, oh my God, was that only the warm-up? All right, ease off. keep your legs turning and just have a minute of gathering your breath, because we're then going to do those little fast bits, but we're only going to do 10 seconds tonight and then 50 seconds easy. So that'll all be nice. And I'm doing nutrition in my course at college, which is kind of quite nice because I know quite a lot about nutrition, enough to argue with the lecturer half the time. But then we go on to physiology, which I know very little about. So I'm definitely going to be in a different box for that one. And she's just sent all these things through about different types of sets in the gym. And I'm like, oh no, I don't understand any of this. So it's going to be really interesting. Okay, we're coming up for a minute. Do a reset. Right, we're going to be ready to sprint. And we're going to go in a 3, 2, 1 countdown. So it's only 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go. Fast cadence, lots of effort. Absolutely brilliant. Great job. 3, 2, 1, and stop. And then just spin out for the next 50 seconds. And we're going to do that again. We're going to do 3. So you've done 1, 2 to go. Oh, another 20 seconds. And then you'll be in again. Three, 2, 1, and go. Lots of effort. Hard as you can. 3, 2, 1, and chill. Lovely job. Right, one more to go. And that 10 seconds, you can just about hold on to it. Going really hard, if we say 15 or 20 seconds, suddenly it's a different proposition. Because that very firing at the top end, you've got enough instant energy to last for, almost 10 seconds. So that energy system fires for a very short length of time. And you've now got about 5 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1, 10 seconds. Last 10. 3, 2, 1, ease. Well done. So hopefully we're now warmed up. We've done a range of different things. We've done slower cadence, faster cadence, medium cadence. We've done easy work, medium work, and then a little bit of high work. And we're going to do some threshold work, which we haven't really done for a little bit. So this is the steady, about effort 7 out of 10. So comfortably uncomfortable. We're only going to hold it for a total of 10 minutes. But technically, you should be able to hold this level of effort in the books for an hour. When they've tested it in reality, for people, it's far nearer to about 40 minutes. Very few people make the hour. So we are going to do 5 blocks of 2 minutes. So you get a bit of a rest in between. And we will get ready to settle into it. 3, 2, 1, go. So 2 minutes. So you should have found a rhythm now that feels sustainable but uncomfortable. And you should, if your mics were on, you should probably be able to have kind of conversation in broken sentences. So you're not completely on the wire. You're not puffing and gasping and can't get anything out. You should be able to have some form of conversation, but it's a bit of an effort. Yeah, I've got nods there. Effort levels looking good. Brilliant. Effort coming from your hips downwards, ideally. Try and keep shoulders and arms quite relaxed. Because if you're riding and you're doing quite a lot of this in a day, which when you ride with Vision of Adventure, you do because of the amount of elevation. And if you put strain through your arms and neck all the time, by the time you've sat on your bike for most of the day, bits of you are pretty uncomfortable. So the more efficient we can think about being, the better. And we've only got 20 seconds left before we get a break. And we will go for a minute rest, I think, because this is going to be quite cumulative in effort. So the fifth one might feel quite hard. 3, 2, 1. Take your minute. And we want to have kind of same resistance for the fifth one as you have for this one. So although you are turning it down in the minutes in between, if it's possible, you want it kind of back to very similar. If on the last two you're having to drop the resistance, then you know that you've just overpaced it a little bit. Because we want repeatable effort, which we were trying to do in swimming last night as well. Okay, you've got 10 seconds until you go again. 3, 2, 1, and off you go. I was listening to a really good podcast from Rennie McGregor, who's a sports dietitian, but particular focus on endurance running in females. And she was very interesting about the amount of carbohydrate we need and how much we use. So, yeah, she said you can hold about 500 grams of glycogen in your muscles if your muscles are absolutely topped up. So you haven't done recent exercise, you've eaten loads of carbohydrate, you've drunk lots of water. And then she says you lose it if you're working hard or you're stressed about between 3 and 5 grams a minute. So that means that your entire stock could only last 100 minutes, which if you think of a day for Vision of Adventure, that is really not a long time. So anyone who's riding, I mean, even a set in the velodrome, it's going to be more than that. And so in order to keep topped up, it's kind of demonstrating the value of keeping eating, because a banana is 20 grams. So you'll go through a banana in 4 minutes. So when you put it in that kind of context, suddenly all the stuff about you need to eat while you're exercising starts to make sense. And it will last longer if you're going at lower intensity. So then it will carry further. But again, you're talking 1 to 2 hours. You're not talking like 6. And then if you don't top up in the session, you find that you then need to top up afterwards and keep fueling. And we're going to take that minute. So slack off. And she also said, in terms of beginning to think about fueling, now this was quite interesting for me. She said if she knew she had a hard run session on a Tuesday, or for instance, a hard velodrome session, she would be thinking about starting to make sure she had enough carbohydrate on the Sunday, late on the Sunday. So by Sunday afternoon, she would be thinking about making sure she ate enough carb all the way through Monday and again the early part of Tuesday. So that's 48-hour run-in. So if you're training frequently, you've just got to basically keep eating, as far as I can see. And some people just say, well, that's great, but it's also really expensive, really organizational, and actually quite difficult sometimes. Okay, let's go again, guys. 3, 2, 1. Off you go. This is the third one. You've got 2 minutes of working quite hard, and I hope you've all had something to eat in the last few hours. Because at 5 grams per minute times 60, you're going to use 300 grams of carbohydrate in this hour. Or maybe 180 if you're slacking off. But even that's quite a lot of bananas. 5, 6, 9 bananas. That's why lots and lots of people end up slightly underfueled. Okay, you've got another minute. And you've all frozen, so I hope you can still hear me. I'm moving again. Sue, could you hear me when I said you were frozen? Okay, that's good. So I just need to keep speaking if you all freeze. Okay, you've got half a minute here. And we're over the halfway point now. Three, 2, 1. And you're in your rest. She said loads of other really interesting things, like your ferritin as certainly as an endurance runner should be at about 50 instead of the paltry like 27 or something that the NHS thinks is sufficient. You can ask me that afterwards, Sue. And collagen is good for bone health for postmenopausal women if you're not on HRT. But we're looking for some research to back that up. I've heard that from her before. And you've got 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go. I have found a study that says it's really good for cyclists combined with jumping for bone health, because cyclists have notoriously poor bone health because they don't do any weight bearing. It doesn't really help them when they fall off, which professional cyclists seem to do an awful lot. They are experimenting with some kind of safety, I suppose a little bit like an airbag, something they can wear that will inflate slightly on impact to try and save some of them from the worst of it. Because the speeds are getting faster and faster and the injuries are really unpleasant. It seems a high price to pay for your sport. And the other thing she said that really caught me out, and we've worked this out in the last couple of weeks, is that strength training takes a lot more energy than you think, because it's not working your heart hard and you don't necessarily feel like, oh, I've worked really hard, I'm out of breath. You tend to assume it's not using that many calories. But actually, the brain power to make all those neurals fire and the amount of weight that's in the lifts, you are using quite a lot of calories, which 2 or 3 of us recently have realized. Because I end up drinking half my protein shake before the end of the session. And I'm like, well, that's for after the session. Therefore, if I'm hungry, I should be having carbohydrate, and I'm not. I'm having protein. So today I put a bar in between swimming and gym, and that, not a metal bar, an eating like muesli bar. And that made a big difference. Felt a lot better. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Last minute on relax, and then we're going to our last one. And I will see maybe if I can put the podcast onto the Vision of Adventure WhatsApp. It'll needs a password so you can get into it. Okay, you've got 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And off you go. Last 2 minutes. However, it is 6:30, so that still means that you've got a bit of time left in the session. It might be the last 2 minutes of this set of intervals, but save some of your effort. You've taken it literally. You've all stopped moving again. You're a quarter of the way through it. That's make sure you hold the same intensity as you had to start with. And you've only got about another half a minute to do. Ten seconds left. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Okay, take your minute before we do something else. Rest is probably quite a good idea. Now, next, we're going to do a little bit of that overgeared effort. So we're going to bring the cadence right down, because I know Sue loves these ones. And we're going to do 3 times 3 minutes. So we want a nice slow cadence. And we want as high a resistance as we think we can push. So it should be more or less the same as you were doing before in resistance, but it will feel very different. It will be more of a muscular push. Hopefully your glutes will get on board for the party. And your glutes and quads, so the muscles in your backside and the muscles in the front of the top section of your leg, should be working. Now, quite often your quads are really good at working and your glutes get a bit left behind because your quads tend to push them out of the way. So I'm just waiting for someone to get back on. And then we can set off. I have started the clock, so we're on 3 minutes. And I'm just going to see if I can get a metronome pace just to get to the same thing. Oh, actually, I can do it from here. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. So every time I say a tick or a tock, so one of your knees, say the right knee, should be at the highest point on the pedal, nearest to your face. So it's quite a slow pace. And if you can't do that pace of cadence, you need to put more resistance on so you've got more to push against. If you're way slower than that, you've got too much resistance. And if you get really slow, it does put far too much pressure through your knees and you can be under threat of knee damage. And we don't want that. So I'll do it again. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Excuse the coughing, but that looks great. And you're halfway through the 3 minute block. So you should feel a bit like you're just digging into something. Your muscles should feel quite like they're under stress and they should probably feel a little bit tired at the end of these. And your heart rate will probably be up a little bit, but not too much. It's not as hard work on your cardio system as the last intervals we were doing. Liking it. And in the next interval, I'll regale you about my exciting weekend moving house for a 25-year-old who hasn't moved house before. Oh my gosh. It's a good way of spending all weekend strength training. But I was by far the weakest there. So for once in my life, I was like, yep, I'm standing back. You guys are all much bigger than me. Okay. Almost there on the first interval. 3, 2, 1. And relax for a minute. And you might want to just stand up and give yourselves a little rock from side to side. So just let your pelvis loosen up. Almost ready for the next one. Okay. 3, 2, 1. And away you go again. Nice and slow on the cadence. So my youngest son, who is 25 and moved into the house that he was in 6 years ago, was moving from Loughborough to Nottingham. So we took 4 of us. Gosh, we're good. His brother, his partner, and us 2 went down to help him move. And it was quite a big job because he's in a 3-bedroomed house, which has had lots of tenants in it who've all kind of left stuff that they couldn't be bothered to take with them. And it's got 3 stories, and he's moving into a 2-bedroomed flat with his partner with 1 bathroom instead of 3 bathrooms. And that's on the 2nd floor. So there was a fair amount of running up and down stairs, to put it mildly. But when you move, like, the accepted thing, I believe, is that generally you pack most of your stuff and you've opened the drawers and gone, I don't need that ball of string, but I do need those clothes pegs, and put everything in boxes. And if you're really organized, labeled them. There was a little bit in the understanding of this that he hadn't quite got. So we arrived for the weekend to find that, yes, he has put some of his clothes in bags, but every single other thing in the house is still in situ. And we're going, right, there's 4 of us to move stuff, plus his friend Malik, 5. Where's this bed going? Oh, I don't know. Where's this chest of drawers going? I don't know. We can't move this shelving because it's full of stuff. Can you take the stuff off because it needs to go? And the whole of Saturday was like that. At which point, by the afternoon, he had a near nervous breakdown and shut himself in his room with his headphones on, which wasn't actually that helpful to the rest of us. So we are all still speaking. And by the end of the weekend, the house is empty, but the furniture the next people want, a small amount of stuff that Heart Foundation will pick up. And thanks to Tom's girlfriend, who's a superhero, the entire thing had been cleaned and scrubbed, skirting boards, etc. So we won, but it was a bit of an exciting battle at times. So my last 3 weekends have been very contrasting. All right, we've only got 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And you've got 1 more of these to do. And then we'll finish with a bit of technique work, probably. So that's not too harsh. You've got half a minute. Ten seconds to go. A bit less, actually. 3, 2, 1. Last set of 3 minutes. That's great. And then to cap it all, coming home, this guy managed to turn his car over in a motorway service station going into the petrol, which was really quite an achievement. He said some of them are clever enough to steer themselves into the lanes, but they decide where they're going and you don't. So he had a fight with the car and the car kind of won. And he climbed out, like, basically unhurt, which was amazing. Had a few scratches on his arm, but apart from that, Okay, the cadence I can see looks really good, but I will just give you a guide for those who I can't see. Tick, tock, 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 tick, tock. Nice. And those glutes should be beginning to ache a bit. That's good. So we're about halfway through the last lot. So the first weekend in January, I went to the north of Scotland to support the 24-hour mountain bike race, camped out for 2 nights in -6. The second weekend in January, I went to London, put my posh frock on and went to the Houses of Parliament and the theatre. And the third weekend in January, I put my builder's gloves on and went and moved boxes and scrubbed cupboards. Yeah, it's a great life. And this weekend, I'm at home! Hooray! I mean, they've been really good weekends, but there comes a point when it's really tiring fitting all your training and everything else into like 4.5 days and then coming back really knackered from whatever you've been doing. Okay, that's looking great. Half a minute. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Well done. So 2 good little blocks of work in there. Quite different demands on the system. Now we're going to do just some technique work just to remind us, and we're going to this end of the session this time. Normally we do it at the beginning, but sometimes there's also merit in doing technique when you're quite tired, because again, it forms a different kind of stress and it asks your muscles to work at a higher cognitive level. I mean, I know muscles don't have brains, but when they're tired, and particularly, well, I find in cycling, my gear changing goes a bit adrift when I get tired, and in swimming, people's technique falls apart when they get tired. And that's a lot more to do with the neural functioning and the nerve pathways than it is to do with your actual muscle action. So we're going to do a little bit of helping to support that. So we're going to go, and we've done this fairly recently, with our right leg. And we're going to think about just that top of the pedal stroke. So as you come up to the top of the stroke, knee is coming to the point where it's nearest your face. And as it's coming up towards your face, you're going to really think about pushing the foot forward, almost like kicking a step into snow or kicking a football. That's not good though, because you should kick it with the side. So kicking with the front of your toes into a snowdrift or into somebody you don't like. And we're going to do that for a minute. So you're going to really think about that. And the clock has started. So thinking about pushing forward and powerful. So you're putting the power on and getting the power into the pedal as fast as you can. And yes, the left leg will still come round, but for this exercise, we're really thinking about the right one. And when we get up to the minute, I want you to do the same, but this time think about the left one. Three, two, one, switch. So keep pedaling. And now we're thinking about the left leg. As that left knee comes up towards you, comes up to almost nudge your elbow, that's the point at which you're really putting power on and driving it forwards. Good. I can almost see the concentration from here. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Keep pedaling, but just relax because we're going to do the next bit. So we're going to take, as the knee's coming down and you're driving the foot towards the point where it's closest to the floor, we really want to be putting loads of effort into that. If you can get your glutes to do stuff, fantastic. You might find it's mainly quad. So again, we'll go right leg first and then left leg. So you've powered over the top and you're now powering down. So you're putting as much effort as you can in. Off you go. Right leg, really thinking about making it work. And thinking about really being fluid with it. So it's a nice, powerful, smooth movement. So we want nice ovals. We don't want jaggy squares. Well done. I've seen somebody having a little fiddle with the power, so that's good if you're feeling you need to do that. Coming up to change. Change over. So think about your left leg, which is great because actually physically you haven't moved anything, but mentally, suddenly your body will feel different just because of the mental stimulus you're giving it. Lovely. You've got half a minute to go. Left leg focus, really nice and powerful. Three, two, one. Relax your brains for a minute. Now we're just going to think about the last bit, which is that bottom when your foot is closest to the floor. And you're still applying power at that point. So we want to get as much power into the pedal stroke as we can. And this will pay off, particularly, Esther, in the velodrome. We want to be pulling the foot back as if we're scraping mud off the bottom of our shoe. And then that provides momentum to bring it up so the knee is suddenly high again, ready to go. So we're going to do that for our right leg to start with. Let's not confuse things. Let's keep to the same order. Maybe I should. Too late now. Right leg. Half a minute's gone. So right leg focus, bottom of the pedal stroke, really pulling back, putting some effort into it, actually physically feeling yourself drawing that shoe foot back rather than just letting it happen. Three, two, one. Swap to left leg thinking. Good. One more half a minute to go on here. Ten seconds. Three, two, one. And relax pedal for a bit. So turn your head off. And then we're going to do just a couple of minutes thinking about all of it. So kind of bringing it all together and using both legs and just trying to be really conscious about thinking about the way that you're pedaling. When we're ready, it doesn't have to be particularly hard, but I just really want you to think about the process of what you're doing. 3, 2, 1, go. Last couple of minutes. And focusing on this. And I hope that your resistance is slightly more than if I'd said just pedal along. Although the effort level shouldn't be massive. Not trying to bust a gut, you're not trying to race anybody, just thinking about good technique. Just like in swimming, Sue. Not going for the time, you're just thinking about the process. Okay, another little minute like that. It's looking nice. Well done. It's really nice to see people looking very, very different on each part of the 3 different things that we've done through this session. And 3, 2, 1. Relaxed pedaling. Okay, I'm going to ask you to do one last thing, which isn't difficult much. I'd just like you to do a faster cadence minute, not at a high effort, just looking to spin the legs out. So basically, you're kind of shaking them up after that work and that focus, getting a chance for your blood to run around a little bit quicker. So it's nice and smooth, but faster than you would normally go, with a relaxed resistance. So it's not super high resistance. And just do that for a minute. Off you go. Nice and easy, not much tension. You're just spinning so it feels like a quite relaxed. And really, you're just giving them like almost a bit of a shakedown, but you're still on the bike. That looks lovely. That's looking really lovely. Smooth, relaxed. It's lovely to see you be able to vary the intensity at which you're doing that high cadence, because we went really fast and hard to start with. Other sessions we've gone really hard. Or cadence sessions we've done kind of medium, and here we are doing it relatively relaxed. Okay, chill out. We're good. So if you are in a gym or somewhere, please take the last few minutes just to pedal nice and easily, normal kind of cadence or slower, just to cool down. And those who are on here, please do the same. And I'm going to turn the recording off. You can turn yourselves on, and then you can have some distraction.